One of the biggest challenges you face when moving abroad is deciding where to go. And in this video, I talk with Helena Woods, an astrocartography expert, about how your personal astrology can help you find your perfect place in the world. In our conversation, she shares why she left the United States to move to France with her husband and what you should consider in your next move. If you've ever wondered which country is right for you and why you feel drawn to certain places and not others, this video is for you. And if this is the first time we're meeting, I'm Kristin Wilson, an international relocation consultant and the host of Traveling with Kristin here on YouTube and the Traveling with Kristin podcast. If you'd like my help in your international move, feel free to contact me using the link below, and you can also pick up a copy of my new book, Moving Abroad for Dummies. Now let's talk with Helena about how you can find your perfect place in the world. So excited. So I was just saying to Helena that one of my relocation clients told me about your website, and we just jumped onto Riverside to record this interview, and she had already watched my YouTube channel, so we were kind of fangirling over each other.
Seriously, this is such a pinch me moment. I love when this happens, when you meet an expander. And I remember watching your videos and feeling like I vibe with her so much. I love her energy. I agree with everything she's talking about, and just so cool that we're getting to chat. This is awesome.
I know. Oh, I wish we could have done it in Paris. I was also telling Helena that I had a ticket to Paris next week for Christmas decorations and Christmas markets and stuff, but I just canceled it last night because I just did a lot of travel. I was in Europe, I was in Atlanta, California, boom, and then came back. And ever since the US elections, we've been so busy at my relocation company. So I planned this trip to Europe in December, at the beginning of the year, and thinking I'm going to take a whole month off of work and just go to Europe for Christmas markets. And then now it's the end of the year and I'm like, I can't take off right now. This is my busiest time of year.
Oh my God, it's so busy. Yeah. It's been so busy for me too. And it's been crazy how many clients have come to me ready to move. They're selling their homes. Yeah. They're getting rid of all of their possessions. People are really ready to go right now.
They're serious. Yeah. People are I've been thinking of this for 9 years, for 17 years. And now I want to go. And people on YouTube are commenting no one's going to move. And I'm like, no, people are moving. We've been signing people up every day who want to move abroad and your schedule's fully booked. So, well, I'm so excited to talk with you because, I've heard about astrocartography for a really long time, just being a digital nomad and traveling around the world. And I met someone in Portugal who was going to give me a reading once, but then we never did it because we're going in different places. And I kind of forgot about it until I came across your website again. And I think this would be such a powerful tool for people because one of the main questions I get when people come to me for help with their relocation is choosing a destination. And I have this whole process that I go through that's part tactical and logical, but part emotional and sentimental, that we come up with the best place for them. But I mean, for people that resonate with this idea, I feel like it could really give people a lot of guidance for places that they could go in the world that they might not have considered. So tell us a little bit about what you do and this whole concept of astrocartography and how it can help people.
Yeah, astrocartography is a powerful tool that you can use to find your best places in the world, and for different things too. Some parts of the world we feel an intuitive emotional connection to, we feel a resonance, whether it's an idea of I've lived here before, this place feels so familiar to me, or just a love and appreciation of a place. We can see that using astrology in charts and on maps. And so astrocartography is essentially a very unique niche in astrology because it's a subdivision of locational astrology. And locational astrology is the astrology of place and location. And so what astrocartography is, it's a mapified kind of version of it. So you have your own unique map of the world. And on these maps, you have special places that are great for you for connecting with people. Your friends, your communities, your loved ones can be in certain parts of the world. Your career visibility and success and being recognized can happen really strongly in certain places. It's almost like we're enhancing our natal promise of our life, or we're unlocking a part of the soul's natal promise by relocating and traveling to different parts of the world. And your map is just a reflection of that which you already feel and that which you already know. So even if you don't care to even look at your map, the places that you feel called to, the job opportunities, the random award you get from some part of the world, the gallery opening, the promotion, the important contacts in your life that really help you in the future, that is all shown on this unique map that you have.
Wow, that just like gives me chills because there have been so many times where I thought, why do I love this place so much? You know, it doesn't even make sense on paper for me to be here, but I just want to keep going back there. And likewise, there's places that do look amazing, like the best fit on paper and that have all of the different attributes you're looking for, like the sunny climate and the low cost of living and blah, blah, blah. And then you go there, and in some cases, you don't feel that connection. And it can then be a problem, especially if you're planning to live there, you're getting residency. And so, what are some of the, I guess, some of the cues or some of the ways that you can tell what is a person's best places in the world?
Yeah. Generally speaking, certain lines are better than others. So, for the beginner out there who might be a bit overwhelmed by this when they're first pulling up their map, you can go to a website like astro.com or the AstroClick travel feature that they have. And when you pull up your map, you're going to see all of these lines across the globe. And these lines all represent a planet in your chart. So, something that's happening in the birth chart. And what these planets do is they symbolize certain themes or topics. And generally speaking, the lines that people love the most are sun lines, moon lines, Venus, and Jupiter. So those four planetary lines are places that people often feel called to the most, or they find that there are more pleasant experiences on those lines. But also, there are certain lines that feel most like home in the world, and those are IC lines. So, any of the lines that have the little symbol of the I and the C next to it, that represents either the past or familiarity or a feeling of home and roots and connection. And so, for instance, I moved to France in 2018, didn't know about astrocartography, I've been studying astrology for years before that, but I didn't know about this. And then I moved here to my Venus IC line, which is a line that represents appreciation for home, loving where you live, feeling the simple joys of your community and the local area, and like the roots and foundation of a place. And I fell in love with it. And I've never felt home in my life. I've traveled the world by myself backpacking. I've lived all across the United States for years, and I've never felt home. And then I moved to this line and I felt like I've been here before. I know this place. I feel so familiar with it. And we moved here and we've been here since 2018. We've moved to different parts of France. And every time I get really far away from that line, I miss it. Like it doesn't feel like home. So I'll go far away from it to like Corsica or Biarritz, or I lived in different parts of France. And every time we move away from it, I want to go back. And so now we're in Paris in the Versailles area. And I'm closer to this line now, which is great. But that's just an example of how the Venus IC line is literally representative of like finding home and that feeling of home. And it happened when I moved here.
Is this kind of like explain why sometimes we don't feel at home where we're born?
Definitely. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
not fitting in with a culture and just feeling a little bit out of place in our own country. I always feel like that is a weird place to be. But yeah, let's go back a little bit to how you got to France. I know that you moved there a few years ago, and You were traveling around and just looking for a little bit of a simpler lifestyle. So take us back to kind of what you were doing before studying astrology and before astrocartography. What led you into a lifestyle of travel from the beginning?
Yeah, it started with acting. So I was an actress my whole life, like grew up in the theater and musical theater, moved to New York City when I was 18 to pursue that. And I did that for years in New York. And there just came a point where I was really tired of one, the industry, but also the hustle of it all. Like I was burnt out working all these jobs just to pay my rent. If I had a cat scratch or I got in a bike accident, my medical bill at the local clinic would be through the roof. Just all these things that cost so much money, like the phone bill, everything was just so expensive. And I was hustling so much. And I turned to my husband in 2017. We had just moved to Virginia and to like cut costs. And I told him, I said, I don't want to live in the United States anymore. Like there's gotta be another way to live. There has to be a different, like it shouldn't be this much of a struggle, cost of living, all of this. And so he was so open to moving abroad because he had grown up in France and Austria and he was a teacher. And so his dream was to always travel and be an English teacher. And so we were like, let's do it. And so the next year, he applied for every job he could find. He applied with the State Department, which is the English Language Fellow program where a lot of Americans can move abroad to teach English. He applied to all these schools and he got one offer, and it was with the University of Strasbourg. And so that's what took us there, was his job and also my deep desire to get out of the United States. And so that brought us to France. And then his goal has been to apply for citizenship through naturalization. And so we've been here for 6 years. Every 2 years, he gets a new job. We have to move to another part of France in order to keep paying taxes so that he could eventually, last year, he applied for citizenship. And it's a long process, the naturalization process, to get that EU passport. But yeah, that's kind of what brought us here. And my love for astrology goes way back. And so when I learned about the mix of travel with astrology, I was like, oh, that's my thing. That's it. Because I've always loved astrology, but it's never been enough to satisfy the my love for like maps and location and travel and all of that. So that's kind of how it found me.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So, are you able to then get, so I'm guessing that you guys came in with maybe a work visa or temporary visa
Yeah.
and then got permanent residency. So can you also get naturalized?
Yeah, I'll be able to as well. I think I first have to apply for the green card and then I apply for citizenship. The cool thing about his job, though, is that as an English teacher, there's so many jobs. First off, I don't know if a lot of people know this that are your listeners, but if you speak, fluent English, and maybe a bit of French, like basic beginners French, even intermediate too, and you have your bachelor's degree, there's so many job openings every year at all these universities all across France, and so many different positions. And so it's one of the easiest ways to get out of the US and into Europe is through these English teaching jobs.
Wow. And so did he go through like an organization, or he just applied separately to all the individual jobs?
Yeah, he just applied for all of them. There's a lot of different websites that post them all. There's Facebook groups that post them. And then also, if you just find the university's website, they usually post the job listings.
Okay, that is great stuff. We'll definitely make sure to post some more information on that in the show notes. And then how has it been for you even, adapting to French culture? Because there are all of these stereotypes about France. And I have a lot of clients that want to move to France, but they're really nervous about learning the language or always feeling like a perpetual outsider. So how has it been from your perspective? And what's your social circle and community like there?
Yeah, I will say after all these years, I still feel like an outsider for sure. And I think that's just a social thing. I act very bubbly. Like I'll stop people in the middle of the street and just say, oh, I love your shoes. I'm such a expressive, wanting to make friends with everyone and have people come over to my house. have game nights. Like, I'm such a San Diego type person that I still feel like I'll never fully belong in terms of the cultural, social aspects. However, I find French people to love that. They actually really like the friendliness and the expressiveness. And I think they find it refreshing. A lot of them. A lot of them grew up or watch a lot of American TV. And so they like that energy that's kind of different. But even so, there's a part of me that feels like it's really hard to make close friends with people in France just because of that the lack of like expressiveness or that, closeness. And so that has always been a struggle and it still is. The language barrier hasn't been an issue. I'm at B1 level, so still very beginner, not at all fluent. But it hasn't been a problem for me. I can make small talk with people walking around, talking to people about the local things. I can get around easy. When we get into philosophical things, that's way harder. And it's very hard for me to talk in French about deeper things. But also there is a lot of parts of France where a lot of people do speak fluent English. It depends on where. For example, Metz and like the Nancy region of France, you're not going to find a lot of English speakers. But if you go to like Biarritz or like the border of Spain, a ton of people speak English. So it really depends on what region you're in. But yeah, it has been something I've had to work with. I also travel the world full time a lot to go to my different astrocartography lines. And so I'll often like leave for 3 months and then come back. And it's like, oh my gosh, I have to get back into the language classes again because I lose so much of it when I travel and then come back. So yeah, it's a process.
Well, I like that you're so straightforward about that because I always felt the same way in Costa Rica, and this might even go for every country. I don't know if you can ever 100% feel like a local somewhere where you weren't born there, you don't look like the locals, and you don't speak like them. But that doesn't mean you can't live there and enjoy your life. And it doesn't mean you can't have fun and make other friends. Like I used to remark at how I lived in Costa Rica, but all my friends were from different countries. They might be from other Latin countries, from Venezuela, from Colombia, from Argentina, from Panama, from Spain. So, have you been able to connect with any fellow expats there?
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing is like I have friends all across the world now. They're just not here with me. And I'm okay with that. And I think everyone has to like ask themselves like, what are my priorities? What are my values in life? What is like the non-negotiable essentials that I need to be happy in life? For me, friends are really important, but it's not like I need friends to see every week. Like it's not something I need for fulfillment. And so if friendship and like close friendships that you see in person is really important to you, then, that's going to be something to prioritize when you decide to relocate and move abroad. But for me, it has been harder, but it's also not been as much of a priority. So it doesn't bother me as much. And also when you find that place that feels like home and that feels like belonging, it's a feeling. It's not even like a specific thing. It's just a feeling of I've returned. I've come back. And you could see that in like the birth charts of a location. And that kind of goes into the astrology component, which is like you have a birth chart. So like when you were born and you took your first breath, you have this unique snapshot of like where all the planets were and what the story is for your life. But you could also pull up what's called a relocation chart, which is essentially the same exact chart, but you're just moving it to a new location in the world. So it's as if you were born at the same moment, but in a new location. And so that new chart is showing you the story of what will unfold over time as you're living there. And so one of the key things I'm always looking out for is a home indicator in that chart. And so for me, I don't have a lot of friendship storylines in this chart, but I've got that home indication, And so it just goes to show like you can still feel home and feel belonging and feel like, gosh, I want to retire here and grow old here and maybe not have specific things that maybe other people would be looking for.
Yeah. There's this sense of just feeling at ease and at peace in a place, even if you don't really know anyone there. And it's really hard to put your finger on. I watched this, was it a documentary or a Netflix show? I really can't remember. I'll have to look it up because I made an entire podcast about this guy. I think it was on a cooking show. It was a chef who ended up moving from New York to Japan. And he said before the plane landed, he knew he was at home and he was just going on a trip, and he ended up staying there and getting married and having kids. And I was just so enthralled by this story that I made a whole podcast about it. So I'll have to look it up and put it in the show notes. But I've definitely had that feeling before. And I've also had the feeling of, as soon as I get there, like, there's been a mistake. I shouldn't be here. Wait, what am I doing here?
Yeah, totally.
So that explains it. And then you mentioned that you're traveling to your other astrological places during the year. Can you give us some insight into what that's for, and what are the other locations? What are you finding there for you, or what is the resonance there?
Yeah. So one of the things I like to do is I like to time my travels for the best opportune time using astrology, and then go to those parts of the world where that story is being activated. So for instance, I was just recently in Mexico and New York a couple weeks ago, and I went out there because there is a Mercury line. And in astrology, Mercury represents communication, thought process, information, communication, all of the cerebral processes. And I wanted to go out to that line because I wanted to finish a project that I'd been working on all year, a new course that I'm building, and also launch a workshop out there. And Mercury is really great for like selling and marketing and sharing and spreading the word out there. And so I wanted to go out there to use that energy and also time it well when I had a really cool transit that was kind of opening up or unlocking that story of that Mercury line. So I went out there and did all those things. And I do this all the time for my different pursuits. So like if I want to launch, like I launched a podcast on my Jupiter line in Japan. I went out there. We had already planned on going to Japan. It's my husband's dream place. It's his home place in the world is Japan. And so we went out there and I saw like, ooh, I've got a great, lucky, abundant Jupiter line out there. And I wanted to launch a podcast. And so I noticed that we had good timing when we would be going out to that Jupiter line. And so I launched the podcast, and it was really successful when it launched out there. And it was really surprising, which is very Jupiter, like expansive, visionary, all of that. And so I go to these different planetary lines depending on what I'm looking for. For instance, sometimes if I want to do a community gathering, or if I want to meet up with friends, or if I'm looking for something specific like a spiritual retreat, or a more inward spiritual like vacation, something that's more relaxing. If I need some courage and some motivation, I'll go to my Mars line. So I go to these places depending on what I'm looking for, but also the timing when it's really nice to go to those spots.
That's really interesting, because I've always told people, if they are location independent and they have that location freedom, I've said, why not go somewhere that's going to support you in whatever you're doing? If your goal, as you were mentioning, if your goal is to be really social and meet people, there's places that are better for that. If you want to go and launch a course or write a book or focus on a project, or you're a developer and you need peace and quiet or something like that, there's other places that you can go for that. And this is just kind of adding an extra layer to that can help you choose a place. Like, I just published a video where I was talking about the different ways that I make an online income. And I talked about how when I wanted to launch my YouTube channel, it can feel really busy in your everyday life wherever you are. So I decided to go to Estonia and Poland in the late fall, early winter, places where it's really quiet. There's not many people. And I was just able to I didn't know anyone there. So I was able to really focus and concentrate on learning new skills and just sitting at my computer and being really confused with how to edit and do things like that. But yeah, I wish I knew a little bit more about this before. And maybe I could go back and understand why something was a good fit and why a place wasn't.
Yeah.
What if people do go somewhere where they're like, I just want to go to this place and it's not a good fit for them? Is it the end of the world, or can they manage?
I'm a big believer that your soul, your intuition is guiding you to where you're meant to go. Mm-hmm. And the astrology is just a reflection of that. And I don't believe that there are good or bad places, but rather the more challenging places can show you where there is needed growth or where you will grow. And I've been to some really hard lines, and I didn't know about the astrocartography. My husband and I, we went on our honeymoon in Egypt, and I have a really hard line there. And we were like arguing a lot of our honeymoon, which we never do. Like, we never argue. We have such an easy relationship. And it's like we went to that line and it brought up a lot of challenges for us. Or I've had a lot of random trips where I feel really uncomfortable and lack of clarity and confusion. And you can see it just on the latitude lines. The latitude lines, they're the lines that go horizontally on your map, which a lot of people can't see on like a free website. It's the professional softwares have them. They're called parens. But these horizontal lines, you could drive 30 minutes and the energy is super different. And I've noticed this on so many like cruise ships. I love going on cruises with my husband, and I'll like track this. I'll go through Norway and I'll like track how like what I'm experiencing and feeling is really different depending on how far north or south we are. Or like when I'm going on road trips. And I'm a big believer that you can use the energy, a difficult line, no matter what it is, there's always an opportunity to dive deeper and learn and grow from a hard planetary line. But it's really interesting when you track the data and reflect on like, oh wow, it's so interesting how I felt that way, and I was on that exact latitude of where that line is. It's just a reflection, really. And that's kind of my view of astrology: is the planets aren't making you feel a certain way. They're not telling you this is going to happen, but rather it's just a mirror, a reflection of what is happening, what you're already feeling, what you already feel called to do. You're going to do the thing anyway, but the astrology is just a really fascinating tool to help you get to where you're going and to also better understand what's happening.
Yeah, in that sense, I also tell people, there's no real wrong decisions. I kind of gave a metaphor of having kids, which I haven't had kids before, but of course, many of my friends and family members have. But it's like still a decision that you want to think through, regardless of what the answer is. Do you want to have kids? Do you not want to have kids? And it's like that with choosing a place to live. Like, you really want to think it through and not just haphazardly like throw a dart at a map or buy a one-way ticket or watch a few YouTube videos and say, oh yeah, this is where I want to go. But in the case that you do end up somewhere and you don't like it, or it's not working for you over time, like, it's okay to change your mind. And we go through these phases of life where, like, I lived in Costa Rica for a long time and Nicaragua, and I felt almost guilty when I left. I was like, but I decided to come here. So shouldn't I stay here for the rest of my life now? And it was so confusing for a while. But then once I answered the call, like inside my soul and heart was like, you need to go and travel more. And I just think now, if I hadn't have left, my life would be completely different. Not saying it would have been bad, but I probably wouldn't have done most of the stuff that I've done, because every time you go to a new place, you meet new people, you get new ideas, you get more inspired. And I'm like, who knows if I would have had this YouTube channel or like any of the things that I've done since I left. I left in February 1st of 2013. And
Wow.
yeah, over 10 years ago now.
Wow,
Yeah.
what a journey. And where are you right now?
So right now I'm in Miami, and right, you were asking
Oh,
me about, you're like, didn't you move back to the US? And it's a bit of interesting. I mean, I first came back because of some family stuff that was going on and wanted to be closer. My sister was having a baby, so she had a baby in May. And so I've been able to go and visit more and just not be on the other side of the world. So that's been nice. Also, after living here during the pandemic, I got a lot of like cabin fever and I felt like I had to travel again. But then after traveling for a year and a half, I felt like, wait, I need to slow down again. And so this is kind of like home base where I have my
yeah,
storage unit and all my stuff, and
yeah,
I have friends and I know how to get around, and it's just a place for me to really be productive and just live a healthy lifestyle and
yeah.
work out and eat clean and everything, and I'm 10 minutes from the airport. So
Amazing.
Miami, you can fly anywhere in the
Oh, yeah.
world on any given day. So that's really nice. But I have actually posted another video. So I posted the one about why I moved back. I think it was back in July. now we're in December, and I made another one that's like kind of this being torn between the life that I was living in Europe and then being back here. But being location independent, I feel always a sense of autonomy over my life where I'm like, okay, if I have a home base here for another year, it's going to be fine. Like I have a comfortable apartment, you know, I can walk everywhere. And then when I'm ready to go back to Europe, I'll go back, and it's like not the end of the world. But
Yeah.
it is, it can be confusing, especially for someone nomadic like me, to really finally choose a place to settle down for a while.
For
So I am
sure.
going for trying to get citizenship in Europe as well. But otherwise, I'll do a residency somewhere. So I think having a session together will help me figure that out.
Oh, yeah. And send me an email anytime. I'd love to help you with your chart and your map and everything for sure. And I have to just say, I totally resonate with you on like that feeling of just being a free spirit and traveler and kind of that restlessness of wanting to travel, but also wanting to slow down and have that base. Cause I'm the same way. Like I love travel. It's my life, my lifestyle, but I also yearn for that stability and to travel. So I just, I so resonate with all of that. And yeah, yeah.
So, does your husband works in person teaching English, right? So, does
Yeah.
he get to travel with you, or are you going places like doing your remote work thing and
Yeah,
kind of living parallel lives sometimes?
yeah, sometimes it feels like parallel lives because I love traveling solo. I love exploring these places and getting a lot of work done and writing and all of that while I'm traveling. And so how it works is he has the summers off from like June until September. And so June and September, we're traveling the world together those months. But then the rest of the year, I'm at home. And then about every 2 months, I'll go on a solo trip for like 2 weeks and then I'll come back. And so, yeah, that's how it works. But he does in-person teaching at the universities. We're hoping that once he gets his citizenship, he can just work for me full time because he works for me part time. Because his working hours teaching he doesn't work a ton of hours teaching, which is so great. So he helps me with my business, but our goal is like we could work together full time eventually, and we could travel full time as well, or like if we wanted to.
Yeah. And how long have you guys been together?
10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Did did you feel any different challenges from getting married and being in the US to after you moved abroad together, or did it bring you closer?
It brought us closer for sure. I always like to say like our first years together were actually the most challenging, like the first 2 to 3 years. And then the last 7 years have just been so easy. And I do think it's in part, you know, the cost, like money. We used to argue about money all the time. We had a lot of challenges with bills and everything living in the US. When we moved to France, our bills were so much less. And so that sense of feeling like we're okay, we can get our groceries, we can get our bills. We're not stressed about getting in a bike accident and all these things, right? Like the stress of that, we don't have anymore since we moved to France. And because of that, it's just been so much easier living here, and together, our relationship, all of that. But yeah, we met actually on my love line. So my unique love line in the world of like where I'll meet my partner, like my best friends, the most important people in my life. It's a specific line going through Florida up to New York City. And so we met in New York City. And it's interesting because he has a similar line to me, but it's on himself. And then I have that same line, but it's on my partner. So it's kind of like our stories swapped, but in New York. So it's all indicated in the map, which is just so cool.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is really interesting. It's like a serendipity when you meet somebody like that. Like I've mentioned before on my podcast, how my cousin met her future husband in London getting out of a taxi cab. And it's just, you never know, you never
Yeah.
know what's going to happen.
Oh, I know. And when you balance like when you add in the timing of like when is someone going to come into your life, and then you go to that line. I've helped so many people find love. I've helped so many people meet their fiancés and like the love of their life. So many of my clients are getting married this year. I'm just like, I think that's probably my favorite part of my work is helping people find their life partners by traveling and timing it right. It's my favorite part
Oh
of my
my
work.
gosh, you're like Glenda from The Wizard of Oz, like making dreams come true. Click your heels together.
matchmaking, matchmaking services.
I didn't realize that matchmaking was intertwined with astrocartography. This is blowing my
Totally. Well,
mind.
because you can see on the map, like, where are your people? Where are your love stories in the world? And you can pinpoint it to the exact city, the exact, like, because you have these long lines on your map, but you also have these other detailed lines that can show you exactly where something is happening. And so I had a client who was like, go to Montana, go to this town in Montana. There's love there, met her partner. Or I told a client, oh, this random island in Mexico, there's a love story. If you go around this month, she met her partner. Sometimes the stories aren't long lasting. Like that client, for instance, I think she was with her partner for like a year, but then it broke up. But, it's still really cool to see that.
Yeah, that's amazing. What are some of the projects that you have going on that can help people with this in addition to just getting a reading?
Yeah, I have a lot of I've created a variety of different workshops and courses depending on how deep someone wants to go with this. So, for example, if you want to find love, I have a workshop called Love Lines where you can learn how to do this, find your love, your people in the world, where to vacation together. If you want to GTFO and get out of the US, I have a workshop that's all about how to move abroad and find your home places in the world. And then also I have deep dive courses that are dozens of hours of course material, one of which is a live program. So a lot of different courses. The relocation astrology course is great. If you're a brand new beginner, I recommend the astro mapping for beginners course. But a lot of different offerings. I also have like a free cheat sheet. So if you want to understand the meanings of each line, I have a free cheat sheet that I can send to you via email. If you just go to helenawoods.com/freebies, you'll see it there and you'll get all my tips and free advice via email and all that.
Okay, perfect. We'll definitely link to that. And how do you see the US now that you've lived abroad for 7 years?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do you ever come back to the US and kind of what's your perspective as an outsider now?
Oh, yes. I just visited for the last month I was out there. And I always miss the US because I love Americans. I love the friendliness. I just love that exuberant, visionary honesty that Americans have. And I miss it. And so I always crave coming back once a year, maybe twice a year sometimes. The things that I always notice, and this is so fresh in my mind since I just got back, is one, everything costs way more. Two, the food quality is not as good here as in Europe. My stomach has problems the entire time that I'm in the US. And it's weird because I'm eating the same food. I'm eating arugula, I'm eating tomatoes, I'm making salad bowls, I'm getting quinoa. Like I'm eating the same things, but my body reacts differently every time I'm in the US. Same with like coffee and like milk and coffee and all of that. Body completely reacts differently. The water, like my skin dries out and like I get these huge red patches every time I get water on my face when I'm in the US. Doesn't happen when I'm here in Europe. It's like little things like that
Wow.
that I'm like, wow, this is a lot of little things. But it's also just like people are really stressed in the US. And you can see this in grocery stores, getting gas at the airport. Like there's just this sense of people are tired, people are rushed, they're stressed. And I think this is a systemic issue of like people aren't being compensated enough. They're working long hours. They don't have long paid maternity leave, right? All of these different things that the France and other countries in Europe have and give to its people, that I think people are just way less stressed here. There's still stress anywhere you go. There's still problems anywhere you go. No place is perfect. But I will say the levels of like stress and aggression and hostility in the US is something I notice every time I go back. And it's very apparent. There's just this sense of abrasiveness that I always feel from people when I go back. Whereas when I come to France, it's just it's a bit softer of an energy. And so, yeah, so many things. I mean, cost of living, gas, like everything it just feels very different in the US right now.
Yeah, I think the abrasiveness and the just sheer exhaustion, the systemic exhaustion of the population. People are tired from work. They're tired from, yeah, working paycheck to paycheck or being in debt. They're exhausted from the news headlines that are, infiltrating everyday life. They're just kind of like, I don't know, like they just feel, I think, a little bit maybe helpless to even change anything. Like there's
Yeah.
no feeling of things are going to get better. It's just kind of like a survival feeling. And it's so weird. I mean, I live on a pretty major road. It's not a highway, but it's the main road that goes through downtown Miami. It's called Brickell. And I've noticed even that everyone's driving so fast. Like everyone is in such a rush to go everywhere. On like a Sunday morning, people are like speeding down my road and like intersections, everyone's honking at each other. It's everyone's irritated. And it's just a systemic thing that doesn't go away. It's like having an inflammatory response in the body where it just never goes away. It's kind of like that. And you live in Paris. You've been to Charles de Gaulle Airport many times. Why is it that that airport is one of the biggest in the world, but it feels so chill compared to any US airport?
I know. Isn't it
I
crazy?
can't explain it.
And I go into Paris all the time, and there's that sense of like stressed, rushed energy. It's not there.
And it's a major city and people are still busy there and I'm sure they're stressed about stuff there, but you don't feel it in the air.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
know.
yeah.
It's a problem. And I will say, as an astrologer, looking at the cycles that we're about to go through as in the United States birth chart in 25, 26, 27 until 2033, but it starts next year in the spring of 25.
Oh boy.
We are entering like wild cycles where the energy, the tension will be the highest, and there will be massive changes. And so I've known this for years looking at the US birth chart. So I've been telling people, if you want to move abroad, if you have an interest in moving abroad, we have got lots of time. Like now is a great time to start preparing for that and start putting a game plan together. Because when we get to specifically summer of 26, I just think the US is going to be going through a lot of challenges and people will want to go. And we could see this astrologically, just like Jupiter will enter Cancer next year, which is people desiring to seek home in their lives. Next year, we're going to have a major planet enter Gemini, which is all about the travel industry changing and transportation changing. There's just a lot of new shifts, and that external active energy of like moving and going to different parts of the world. I think more and more people are going to be seeking for this kind of knowledge, move abroad content, relocation content, astrocartography, all of that. And so it's going to be really interesting to watch. But I have been telling people that if you want a slower pace of life, look into all these countries in Europe, Spain, digital nomad visas, Albania, Georgia, there's all these parts of Europe where you could literally leave tomorrow if you wanted to. And I learned about how to live slow because I moved to France. I had no idea how to live this way when I lived in the US because I was hustling, working 7 jobs, minimum wage, rushing from job to job, barely making ends meet. And then I moved to France and I was like, whoa, this is a different way of life. And it took me a good 2 years to like figure out how to adjust my rhythm because I was like, this is a different pace. But now I just have so much more peace and presence, and I'm so much more grounded now in my life. And I'm still me, but it's just this energy of like not Russian like I used to. And I owe that all to living in France because living here taught me that.
Amazing. Even in Paris, where people say, "Oh, it's so busy, it's so crowded," but it still has that like nicer energy.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite places that you've traveled to around France? I know some people know like the bigger cities. Well, Strasbourg is really beautiful, I've heard. I haven't been there yet, but any kind of cool places that you and your husband have found in the past few years?
Oh yeah, Biarritz, specifically a small little beachside town called Guétary. Guétary is a surfside town right before you hit the border of Spain, and there's just all these van lifers and surfers. It's the cleanest, most beautiful part of France I've ever seen. Just green rolling hills and cliffs and beach and surf, and it's just absolutely stunning there. So Biarritz in the Guétary area is gorgeous. I also lived in Corsica for 2 years on the island of Corsica.
Wow.
And so I lived for 1 year in the middle of the mountains during COVID. And I was like literally middle of nowhere. That was an experience. And I always recommend people, if they like wilderness, if they like, beautiful trees and camping and waterfalls, go to the Ristonica Valley in Corsica, which is in the middle of the island near Corte, the city. Oh my God, it feels like a different planet. It feels like you are on a different planet there. It's so quiet and peaceful. And I swear there are fairies that live there. And then
I want to go.
it's beautiful. And then I also recommend Ile Rousse, which is a little beachside area in the northern part of Corsica. The water is turquoise, like a different planet. It feels like different worlds, but it's clear turquoise. The sand is white. The people are lovely. The little town of Ile Rousse right on the beach. It is so amazing. So I lived there for a year. And by the way, cost of living, going back to cost of living, I mean, I had a huge apartment with a massive balcony overlooking the island and the beach and the cliffs and the lighthouse, 600 euros per month.
Oh my gosh. I
Like,
know I never even think of going to Corsica, but it looks so beautiful. I was researching it for a video actually.
oh
So
my gosh, it's beautiful. And the people are so nice. Corsicans get such a bad rap. Even like the Parisians here and the French people here, they say, oh, Corsicans are so rude. They're not. You just got to be friendly. They're kind of like Italians. They remind me more of Italians than French people,
do
for
they
sure.
speak Italian,
Italian.
right?
They
As
speak
well as
English and
French?
Italian and French. French is their
Okay.
main, but and
Yeah.
Corsican, they speak Corsican.
In
That's their
Corsican.
whole
Yeah.
language. Yeah. But I found a lot of people speak English in Corsica, and yeah, it was just beautiful. So yeah, Biarritz, Corsica, and then those are the top places I recommend. Yeah, those are like the top ones. I've
Okay.
traveled and road tripped to a lot of places, but those are the places I got to know really well.
I love from San Sebastian. I once did a road trip to Biarritz and I was just like awestruck by the beauty in that area. I could definitely go back. The last time I was there was 2017 actually. So I think it's time to go back. But yeah,
Yeah.
summer of 2017, so beautiful. I remember sitting outside eating dinner at sunset in Biarritz and just pinching myself like, how is this my life? And then my friend came from Toulouse and she brought her two little toddlers and we went on a road trip through the wine country and Saint Emilion, and it was also very affordable as well. And I just thought, I'm living the life, you know.
Yeah.
I'm drinking rosé in Saint Emilion, and her little cute little French daughters were playing in the gardens, like the perfectly manicured gardens, and it was just I felt like I was in a movie or back in the 1800s or something. It was amazing.
And there's just beauty everywhere here in France. Like just walking down the street. Like tonight, I went out to get some milk bread that they sell at the boulangerie down the street. And I look up and I'm passing by a church and there's stained glass right there. And the light is coming in because it was dark out. And it was just the most beautiful piece of art I've ever seen. And I'm like, this is just a walk down the street. It's just crazy. And everywhere, there's just so much beauty everywhere. The boulangerie, the little shops, the little alleyways, all the little details. And I always forget it. I forget it because I live here and I get used to it. And then I go to the US and then I come back and I'm like, whoa, like I notice it again.
Yeah, it's really special. Really. I talked
Yeah.
about that in a video too, that it's like condos and strip malls here. And then you go there, it's like beautiful cathedrals and yeah. And someone commented as well. They're like, oh, you're not respecting the history of the US. I'm like, it's not the history of the US, it's the history of Native Americans that were here before colonizers. And sadly, we don't have much evidence of their civilization because they were wiped out for the most part. And Yeah, so that's awful as well. But
Totally.
human
Yeah,
history. Ever since I
I
read
know.
*Sapiens*, I'm like, oh, that explains it. I get it now.
Yeah. Oh,
The
yeah. I go
humans.
on YouTube too. There's so many great YouTubers that like have documentaries about all this. I get a lot of my knowledge from YouTube, and that's how
Oh
I found
yeah.
you too. It's such a fangirl moment. I'm like, oh, I'm talking with Kristin.
Well, I'm so happy to have you on the show today. Where can people connect with you and follow your adventures as well?
Yeah, you can find me on my website, helenawoods.com. Tons of free resources there, free blog posts you can read, my YouTube channel. I have a personal YouTube channel where I talk about my life in France, and I've documented all the years in France, Strasbourg, Corsica, living in the mountains. So if you ever want to relive those adventures, they're all there. And then I have Instagram, Ms. Helena Woods. You can follow me and see my daily France updates there.
Oh, okay. So what are both of your YouTube channels? What are the names of those?
Yeah, so the personal and the France one is Helena Woods, so just my name. And then my astrocartography astrology content is astrocartography with Helena.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
we'll link to it in the show notes. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Oh.
And we'll definitely have to connect somewhere
Yes,
in France
please.
soon.
Let's do
Maybe
it.
this
Yes.
year.
I would love to see you. Please hit me up when you're here. I'd love to hang out with you.
Definitely. I'll be there. I'll be there soon.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks.